Hello, my friends. God bless you. Alice Cooper, Joe Rogan, Mel Gibson, Will Freeman, and myself. Yes. Let's get right into this.
When I went into the hospital, doctor said, I'll give you a month before you're joining your buddies. Wow. Because, I mean, you just can't treat your body like that. And on top of it, I'm touring. So it's a constant flow, constant energy, constant this, constant party. And that sounds like fun, a constant party. Got to a point where I would go backstage and look at my stage costume and start crying because I knew what I had to do to get into that costume to perform was now depression. And I'm sitting there going, this is it?
You were the #1 rock star in the world. And it started with your first hit, 18. Yeah. You were in multiple bands. You started out in a band called the Earwigs.
Right.
But that hit changed everything. So you're in a car, I think maybe with some of your bandmates, and you hear your song 18 on the radio for the first time. What was that like?
We were the band that wasn't supposed to ever have a hit.
Yeah.
We were the notorious Alice Cooper band. We were the outlaws.
Yeah.
Every parent hated us.
And that was good for business, wasn't it?
It was. We didn't necessarily do it that way. We just ended up being that.
Yeah.
And we did a song called I'm 18. I'm 18 and I like it, right? Yeah. That was almost a punk anthem.
Yeah.
Having no idea that was going to be a hit single. And we're driving along, and all of a sudden we hear, pick hit this week on CKLW, and 18 comes on. Believe me, we stopped the car. We had never heard any of our records ever on the radio before. Yeah. And we're sitting there listening to it, and we're all looking at each other, just laughing, going, what a mistake they just made, you know. Then I heard it 2 hours later. And then you hear it again 2 hours later.
Yeah.
And then you realize it's not just a big hit, it's on the charts.
Yeah.
And you're sitting there between the Rolling Stones and Simon and Garfunkel, and there's your song.
Wow.
And to the business part of rock and roll, that gets the attention of the money guys.
Yeah.
The worst thing you could do to a band like Alice Cooper, as notorious we were, is give us a hit.
Right.
Because now you had to deal with us.
Yeah.
And everybody gets one for once in a while. I get a lucky home run once in a while. Second one came out, was a bigger hit. Third one came out, was a bigger hit. So all of a sudden now, we didn't chase the charts. We didn't say we got to write a song that's going to be on the charts.
Right.
We got that song on, and now the charts was looking at us.
Yeah.
And we were in that golden age where Bob Ezrin, our producer, knew how to take our songs and make them into hits.
See, this was Alice Cooper's testimony, wasn't it? Alice Cooper had a testimony that his father was a Baptist preacher, a Baptist minister. He was brought up in a Baptist church. As he was playing rock and roll, he was a Christian kid. But, you know, things got wild. Things got really wild in Alice's life. As fame developed around him and consumed him, he became consumed by his own desires, as happens to all of us. Well, many of us at least. But let's carry on. Let's see where all of this was leading him.
Newspapers.com. The past. Read all about it.
Well, as soon as we get past these ads, we'll see where all of this was leading him.
When you were younger, you're just getting started in your career. You met Frank Zappa.
Yeah.
He was going to record you. He says, do you have an agent? He said, we don't have one yet. So you met Shep Gordon, and you walked into a room, and 3 iconic rock stars were in that room. Who were they?
It was Jim Morrison, Jimi Hendrix, and Janis Joplin.
Almost like the Mount Rushmore of
exactly.
rock.
All dead at 27, by the way.
Yeah, so they're in the so-called 27 Club.
Right.
And, you know, now, and since then, of course, Amy Winehouse has joined that so-called club.
There's
Brian
about
Jones,
20 of them.
Yeah, there are. Brian Jones from the Stones and Kurt Cobain, all tragically dead at the age of 27, but you walk into this room of these iconic rock figures, and they were so talented. I remember you told me each one kind of was an innovator in music, weren't they? I mean,
They were the three most influential people in rock.
yeah.
Just imagine Alice Cooper could have gone the way of those people who are now dead. But he didn't, did he? He went a different way.
Alcoholic and a drug addict does. They put on this air that.
So you don't describe it as you were cured. You say you were healed.
Yeah, people would say, well, you're a cured alcoholic. And I go, no, I was a healed alcoholic.
What's the difference?
Well, God took it away from me.
See, this is the difference. He can say he's been healed or he's been cured. He's been healed of cocaine addiction. He's been cured of alcoholism, or healed of alcoholism, cocaine addiction, heroin, you name it. This man has been healed by God, and that's his testimony. God has healed this man. God has given this man a new life. This man didn't die in the 27 Club like he very well could have, and so many of young, promising people have. But that's not his testimony, is it? His testimony is that God has healed him.
Doctor said, it's impossible that you don't at least fall off the wagon 3 or 4 times because you're the classic alcoholic. And I said, what you don't understand is that God took it away from me.
Amen.
I said, it's a miracle. After a while, though, they went, you know what? God took it away from you. Because they said, everything about your life should be deception. That's what an alcoholic and a drug addict does. They put on this air that they're cured, but back here they're doing this and they're doing that. That never happened. And so even the doctors were going, miracle. You're 1 in a million case. And I went, well, God works like that.
Amen.
I think people are really surprised to hear that a lot of people don't know that you believe in Jesus Christ. It still comes as a surprise to people. And yet, not only do you believe, but you have a strong faith in him. You've established a center for young people called Solid Rock, where you're trying to really help turn people, get their lives turned around, turn them toward God. You don't hide this in any way. So who is Jesus Christ to you?
He's the core of everything. He's life itself. He's the light. If we don't all revolve around Christ, and we're way out in space somewhere. Mm-hmm. He draws you in. He's the light. You're drawn to that light. And it's nothing you can explain in words. It's something that happens to your heart where all of a sudden you realize who this is. And you realize, oh my gosh, I'm not worthy of this. Talk about I'm not worthy.
Yeah, I'm not worthy.
We are not worthy.
Yes.
And yet still being hung on the cross, he knew your name. He knew my name. And that made me go, how can I not believe in this? He changes your heart. Now, he didn't say, and now that you're a Christian, you can no longer be in rock and roll. His plan was, now you're a Christian, go be in a rock and roll band, but follow me. Be Alice Cooper. And that's what Christians don't understand. I can be Alice Cooper, and I can't tell you how many emails I get saying, that song you wrote, Hey Stupid? Yeah. Changed my life. I was getting myself that song spoke to me. Some of the songs that don't make any sense at all, they go, I turned to Christ because of that song. And I go, that song? What? It spoke to them differently. It said something differently. So now when I write, I always try to have some lyric pointing towards Christ. At one point, we did an album called Brutal Planet and Dragon Town. And what it was talking about was, it was a heavy metal album. This is so cool, man. It's right. And then Christian kids started listening to it and going, this is a Christian album. It's talking about how this is a brutal planet. And Dragon Town is the result of it. If you get one shot, you don't get another chance. If you end up in Dragon Town, there's no way out. But Brutal Planets pointing out all the things that point to Christ. You know, the horrible things, but the things also that point to Christ. That album and The Last Temptation, which was another album about that, it was written sort of like Something Wicked This Way Comes. The circus comes to town, the kid goes to the circus, and they try everything to get him to join the circus, right? And at the end, he doesn't, right? They were being sold in Christian bookstores, and my record company couldn't figure out why. They're going, why are we selling records in Christian bookstores? Because it was Christian albums. You know, 2 or 3 of my songs were used like in choirs. You know, that a song like "I Am Made of You," "Salvation." There's on these stories, you know, a murder mystery, but there's a song called "Salvation." How the murderer is going, is there any chance for salvation? I guess, well, that's the song that. So you did all these horrible things, but yeah, there is a chance for salvation.
It's an amazing thing that, you know, people chase after these things. Young people today, you know, a poll was taken among them and they said, what do you want more than anything else? And they said to be rich and famous. And Andy Warhol, who you knew, once made his statement, it's attributed to him at least. Yeah. One day everyone will be famous for 15 minutes, right. Something along those lines.
Like that.
And today, that literally is true for some people. Yeah. Suddenly you're famous online.
And I'm a husband. You know, so in that order, I think is really who you are. Most important goal.
Right.
Everything else is secondary. Everything else is thirdary. Everything, you know, I always said this before, and a lot of people don't like the statement, but if I were going to put what's important to me in order, Alice Cooper would be about 5th.
Yeah.
Once you've answered that knock,
yeah,
and once you've committed to that, and once you start realizing how merciful that we've been treated, yes. And you know, and how much grace we've been given.
You said there's like Alice Cooper on your list is like 4th down on the list. What's number 1, 2, 3?
Well, I think your relationship with Christ is the number one thing. And of course, your family. My family are all Christian. You know,
what a wonderful testimony. His family is all Christian. And he understands what it is to have a relationship with Christ. How beautiful this is. And this man's faith sustains him even today, doesn't it? That's just beautiful. Let me share something else with you here. Bear with me just a moment. I think you'll like this too.
In New York, you might get mugged, or you know, they'll say "F you" or whatever. But in Los Angeles, like, it's kind of like they want to sacrifice you. Why are the big realms of good and evil, and they exist? They're as real as we are. Why are these realms slugging it out for the souls, the hearts and souls of mankind? Why?
The resurrection is the one that is the most difficult for people to swallow.
Yes.
That's the one that requires the most faith.
The most faith and the most belief. Yeah, resurrection.
Yeah.
Who gets back up 3 days later after he gets murdered in public? Who gets back up under his own power? Buddha didn't do that. You're presented with a lot of things and a lot of new games to play and a lot of people and money, and there's a lot of weird power games, and there's the studios over in California. I think society is kind of devolving somehow.
Mel Gibson is a generational household name, probably the most influential figure we've ever covered here on Make Faith Famous. He's credited in over 70 acting roles, over 20 producer roles, and has directed 12 movies. I mean, these are unreal numbers. Lethal Weapon, Braveheart, Mad Max, The Passion of the Christ, take your pick. He even produced The Sound of Freedom, which admittedly I haven't seen yet, but did you know that Mel has grown over the years into a man of deep faith? He also has a track record of absolutely dunking on the Hollywood elite rather than